Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. I wanted to make one or two comments and I'll get into the main topic of this video. Is going to be about Logan's Run. I had a couple of snafus on yesterday's video about shaming. That version, the big version that I showed, I'm not going to show again, came out in 2011. I don't remember why. I thought 2013 or 2012, but it was 2011, so it must have been like 2011 or 2010 when they were talking about making it, early 2011. I don't remember, when I was very gun-shy about it. And then the Dirt Parabans, today's Friday, February 25th. The Dirt Parabans Queen of the Night episode 3, is not today. It's Monday, the 28th, 26th, 27th, yeah. I don't know why it was the 20th, because all this stuff was coming up with the Kevin stuff and the Cloud Cult live stream last night, which maybe I'll talk about in another video soon. The Ars documentary and the release of the Tears for Fears album, The Tipping Point, which came out today. So, but anyway, so and I just, like I said, this is about Logan's Run and my television habits. I mean, I don't read books. I read graphic novels a little bit. Sadly, I should be reading more books, but you know, watching a TV series is like it's like reading a book in some ways. It's just, you know, I totally admit that. But anyway, as far as Logan's Run, I've never actually read the actual novel that was written in the late 60s. And I just did a little search on my YouTube channel's history. It was early in 2018 I had checked out the original film from 1976 with, I can't even remember the guy's name now. But that you know, it had Peter Ustinov and some other people, but that was 2018, and I know after I saw that, I mentioned in that video that I made, the video I talked about Extremes. I showed my copy of Extremes, Three Sides to Every Story, and the Rush single for Closer to the Heart, but vinyl. I wanted to see once I got wind of the fact that, you know, that there was a TV series made, and I enjoyed the movie as much as I did, I wanted to see it, but I know, like, I was looking for it. I went to like Half Price Books, I even went online. I was hoping it might be available to stream, like on some of the services like Amazon or Netflix or Hulu or something like that. And I went onto eBay. I think I even looked on eBay. Anyway, I mean, it wasn't like the priority of all priorities, but I know I was looking for certain things to check out from the past. Logan's Run was always one of them. I didn't know how many episodes there were, though. So then it was about a month ago, or like 3 weeks ago, I stumbled on, a couple weeks ago, the Tubi link, because it actually is on Amazon Prime to watch, but you actually still have to pay for it. Which per episode, I guess that could add up. It'd be the same cost as like getting the DVD. And they did release, I did some research, they did release Logan's Run, the TV series, which came out the year after. The film came out in 76, and which I'll mention something about film in a little bit here. But then the TV series came out the following year. That doesn't seem to happen very much now. If they do an adaptation, it's usually a few years later, like a decade later, or more than that. But it was the fall of 77 on CBS that Logan's Run, the TV series. Now, they didn't recast, they recast pretty much all the roles, and there's some differences. And I haven't seen the movie since 2018, so, you know, my memory of it is not 100% perfect. But I was reminded of my review that there were certain things they didn't do in the TV series that they did in the movie, like with the thing on their arms or something. The whole Dome City wasn't run by, as we came to learn, spoiler alert, by the computers as it is in the movie. It's run by these elders, you know. The whole premise of Logan's Run, if you've never seen it, you know, is that these people are born in this Dome City, and basically by the age of 30, they go to this process called carousel, and they end up ascending to another plane. They're told they not reincarnated, but yeah, they go to another place. They ascend, and truth is, of course, they die and nothing happens. But you know, and there are these kind of runners, and the Sandman, which Logan himself is a Sandman, but then he decides he wants to run because he kind of hits him, and he meets a girl named Jessica. I think it's the same character name in the movie. Jenny Agutter played Jessica in the movie, it's played by Heather. I couldn't remember this in the video. Heather Menzies or Heather Menzies-Urich. She was married to Robert Urich. So, and he runs, and of course, Logan's partner, Logan 5, as a Sandman's this guy named Francis, who in the movie goes after Logan. He's told by the computers, I think, to do that, or he just does it. I can't remember. But in this, he has orders eventually to go after Logan. He continues to not catch Logan, of course. So, at the stars, Gregory Harrison plays Logan. Heather Menzies plays Jessica, as I mentioned. Heather Menzies-Urich, or maybe she was Heather Menzies at the time. And she had been in Sound of Music, and then later was in, so I pulled up her bio here. She'd been in a few other things. The Snake movie with Dirk Benedict, who went on the next year after this, went on to be in Battlestar Galactica, of course, best known for, and then the A-Team. She was in something else, though, before this, or that I recognized, but something called Piranha, you know. She'd been a guest on a few shows, Spencer for Hire, T.J. Hooker, The Love Boat, and everything like that. But anyway, and then the other main cast that they introduce, I want to say it's the second episode. The first episode is them just escaping. Yeah. Well, maybe in the pilot episode. I can't remember. Is this character named Rem, who's played by Donald Moffat. Let me just see here. Yeah, okay, they do meet. In the pilot, they do meet. It seemed like it was the second episode, but yeah. They escape and they, because it's a two-part, it's like a 90-minute episode or whatever. It's like a two-part, it's like a movie when they aired it on CBS maybe initially, or maybe they aired it. Yeah, they aired it. The date's done September 16th, 1977. They end up finding this, like a lot of the different places they find, it's a house or not a house, it's a building, not a castle exactly, that they're welcomed by these people. And it turns out all the people are not people, but they're androids, which that plot has been done. It was done previously in Star Trek and some other things, and then since, a little bit like Westworld too, but not in terms of the deception, but in Star Trek. And DC Fontana, as I came to learn, was one of the main writers on many of the episodes of Logan's Run. So the Star Trek comparison, that's the primary show that I thought of watching this, among others, is the original Star Trek. That and Battlestar Galactica in some ways. But, they meet Rem there. It's like all the people are androids they come to learn. And they think, well, Rem is the one who maintains that place. It's all this group of people and they have visitors and stuff like that. And they actually work... They worship basically these people on these chairs on a high horse, their skulls. Now, I forgot to mention that Logan's Run set in the year 2300s. It's around the time of Star Trek, actually, the original series. It's 200 years after 2118, which would be 2318. I said in my review of the movie that I thought it was in 22 something, but I don't remember. I'd have to look that up. I don't have that available at the moment. But, it turns out Rem... No, he's another android among all those androids. He just maintains and repairs them. But then he concludes, I wouldn't mind going with you guys. So, and they get I forgot to mention when they escape the Dome City, Jessica and Logan, they end up finding a vehicle, like a solar-powered car, basically. It's interesting. I mean, for the time, there's a cheese factor and a dated factor about it. It was made in 1976, 77, or 77, so... But it's pretty good for the time. The technology and the effects are pretty good. The little weapons that that are used, that the Sandman uses and some other characters use are pretty. It's one step up from the phasers from Star Trek, the original series. So, but the reason why I also say that it compares, it's a lot of the same kind of thing where it's like the planet of the week, except it's not the planet, it's just they're on Earth, it's like the city of the week, kind of. The only thing that doesn't really get explained is they're journeying back and forth. They end up back in the Dome City a couple different times. Like, it really wasn't that hard for them to get there, even though they've been journeying for weeks or months, even, the three of them. That was kind of a liberty, I guess. Now, the show got canceled after 14 episodes, and I guess the last 2 or 3 episodes never aired on CBS, so I guess, I don't know. According, they have dates on this. February 6, 78 was the final episode called Stargate. And I have to say that episode is one of the weakest. The premise is like some aliens are there, and they want to use REM's, part of his, circuits and stuff like that. It's part of his memory bank to adapt to get their race to come to Earth. Their planet is dying. Their sun's going nova, but they're basically probably going to take over. They want to take over Earth, and they stop them, of course. But it kind of just, you're more than halfway through the episode, and you're kind of wondering what's still going to happen. Like, how are they going to tell the end of the conclusion of the final plot, the third act per se, in 10 minutes here? And it just, I don't know. Kind of sad to see that the show I really came to like after the last few weeks, even though again it was sort of the civilization of the week, the planet of the week kind of thing, like Star Trek. There was a time traveler episode that was really good. It's kind of the hypothetical of what would happen if we had a nuclear war, which hopefully that doesn't happen. But and the planet basically, people had to go inside an area, and what happened to that, but. For decades, a couple centuries actually. The thing I wanted to mention, before I forget, about the lead actor, Gregory Harrison. There is, of course, the lead actor from Reaper. And I forget, his last name is Harrison. Hold on. Brett Harrison. He looks kind of like him, and the age is similar. And the other weird connection between the two of them is that they both have Greg Harrison at one point had kids in the late 70s, early 80s, and Brett Harrison was born like in 82 or something, or maybe it was like late. I can't remember what year. It was the late 70s or early 80s in Portland, Oregon, or in Oregon. So, but I couldn't find any actually connection to say that they're actually related, but. My God, if they would have done a remake of the movie or the TV series, he would have been perfect, because he looks a lot like the character that plays the Greg Harrison, like the guy who played Logan. Not by the guy who played the British guy who played him in the movie looked different, but I don't know. It's weird. I would love to bring that point up to some other people to find out. It's like I do like YouTube search or something. It's like, how are they not related? Jeez, it's weird. I mean, they're not identical, but it easily could be his son. But my favorite character is definitely the Rem character. I mean, I like Jessica. I like, the way they dressed, the way they made the women dress in a lot of these episodes was less than ideal, I guess. It's kind of scantily clad in some ways. Not totally, but it's like you have skirts that are just like barely down to just past your hip. I mean, that part was a little bit dated. I don't think they could get away with that now exactly. But yeah, Rem is like a Spock or like a Data. He's like pre-Data, like a proto-Data from Next Generation, or like very much it's similar. The writing of his is very similar, like information, very analytical, very logical. But he's definitely sort of easygoing and has some comic relief. And Donald Moffat, yeah, he's the best part of this show for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's, the guy who played Francis was okay too, Randy Powell. I think if the show would have continued on, his character would have probably eventually, someone talked about in one of the comments on a blog that he might have helped out Logan and just decided, the heck with this, I don't believe in the process of carousel, and maybe there was something to what Logan and Jessica are doing, and then they would have started rebelling. That probably would have happened. They don't find, spoiler alert, they don't find Sanctuary. They think they do at one point. One town was known as Sanctuary. That was the Time Traveler one. That was probably the best episode of the series. Some good appearances from notable actors, like Gerald McCraney was in the second to last episode. And then you had the guy who played John Hill on Cheers. I forget the actor's name. He was in the pilot episode in that group with Rem, that castle, whatever it was. And then you had a few others. You had Kim Cattrall in an episode. She plays a a young her. No, she's in an episode. That's the one where they're the split, like the very much of the black white thing in Star Trek, where people are split between positive and negatives. She's in that episode. She looks really young. And then I forget the actress's name, but the woman who she was best, I know her best for playing Axel Foley's sort of, you know, contact in Beverly Hills Cop. She was in an episode where she falls in love. She's really young too. She falls in love with Logan, and she's raised by androids. Basically, her parents died, but she's also like telepathic. But she has some kind of darker intentions with her abilities, a little bit like some of the kids that had powers in different sci-fi, including Star Trek and the Twilight Zone. But by the end, she kind of understands what to do with it, and you know, it's not for the best to use it for, you know, for control and bad things. Because I think Logan's Run was still, it was definitely like a family kind of slanted show. So they didn't get, none of the characters got too dark. I mean, about as dark as someone like the Dr. Smith character in Lost in Space. And it aired, I think, at like 7 or 8 o'clock on, you know, weeknight. I guess they moved it around. That was part of the reason why it didn't get the ratings, because they wanted to get better ratings, and it just, of course, typical thing with TV networks, you know. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm glad I got to see it, you know. I didn't realize there were 14 episodes. It's, if they remake it, which I think, stuff I've read is there was a lot of interest over the last 20 years to get it remade into a movie, and then maybe they could do a TV series, but especially the movie. That kind of stuff has sort of fallen by the wayside, and who knows? It could be 20 more years before that even gets brought up. Hopefully not. But yeah, I mean, I thought the reason why it wasn't talked about that much is because it wasn't that good, but that's far from the case. I think it's a little shortchanged. It's a little forgotten. It's like an undiscovered gem, you know, and myself being only a year and a half or whenever it came out, I wouldn't have known about it and been able to see it, but it's good to, you know, it's almost like going back in time. Like if I was, you know, of old enough age to watch it in 1977, 78, this is what I would have seen. So I was a year and a half, 2 years, I was dealing with a surgery and a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, what's your take on Logan's Run, the TV series with Gregory Harrison and Heather Menzies-Urich? Heather Menzies-Urich and Donald Moffat both passed away, unfortunately. Greg Harrison is still around. He went on to be in Trapper John M.D., which I've only seen vague amounts of that. I know that was like the Trapper character, I thought, from MASH that ended up having his medical practice. But Donald Moffat, he played like FDR. He was in The Thing, the Kurt Russell, you know, sci-fi horror movie. I've seen him in other things, but I just, you know, now I'm going to remember him better. And Heather Menzies, like I said, you know, she died of, I guess, brain cancer in 2017. It's really sad. But, and I was like mentioning in that video from a few years ago, that's how I actually, I looked her up and I recognized her, and then I ended up wanting to see this. I mean, I originally heard about Logan's Run through, I think it was when I saw Free Enterprise. I got Free Enterprise the DVD and saw they mentioned Logan's Runs, like with a lot of classic sci-fi movies. The name had kind of come up, but I'd never taken the time to, just like Westworld too. But yeah, it'd be great if they could bring it back either as a TV series or like sort of like Westworld, or just make a movie. I would love that. So anyway, I'm going to start watching, I think finally, because I delayed it, Blake 7, as mentioned in previous videos. And that's 3 seasons, and that's very Doctor Who-ish and British, but that's on Amazon Prime, so that's my next focus. You know, Logan's Run's coming up kind of delayed that, kind of like the way that Sense8 delayed my Expanse viewing. But, and then I think I'm going to try watching 12 Monkeys, the sci-fi show. I mean, give it a go. That was made in the last, like, 10 years on the Sci-Fi Channel. So, you know, some other TV stuff coming up. Those are my primary focus, you know, but there's Better Call Saul coming back in April. Of course, we're going to get Stranger Things season 4 and 4.5 in May and June or July, I guess. I guess it's going to be 2 more seasons of Stranger Things, the one that's coming up and then 1 more. Of course, there's the Orville, the last season, it's been delayed till June. Babylon 5, unfortunately, who knows when that's going to happen. Battlestar Galactica, also sometime, some kind of Battlestar Galactica movie and a TV series. So there's a lot of sci-fi stuff coming out, and stuff coming up. But and Better Call Saul's in sci-fi, but you know, with the days that we still have the pandemic, even though it's starting to wane, we got this other crap going on. TV is sort of the therapy and the escape that a lot of us have used, and these streaming networks have been part of that. So, but anyway, again, what's your take on Logan's Run, the TV series? Have you seen it? You should check it out. It's free on Tubi, like I said, Tubitv. And what do you think of the movie? But I'd love to know. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. One more note. I was looking at Heather Menzies' bio, and it's like she was an ovarian cancer survivor, but then she passed away, unfortunately, from brain cancer. That people that get multiple cancers, like, it's just hard to fathom. I was gonna say about movies, you know, like the fact that the Logan's Run movie came out in '76. One of the things I thought about when I did those albums calendars years ago and wanted to make videos is to do the same thing for movies, and you know, too many projects, of course, and you know, just not enough time, and I'm not disciplined and don't keep to it. I always have the time to do it, but I'd like to do a movies calendar and top 5 or 10 movies, and I'm thinking about doing the top 5 albums of the year by year. Why not do the same thing for movies? In fact, you know, maybe there'd be a combination depending on how long it is. Probably not. The videos would get too long, probably, but yeah, you know, and Logan's Run would certainly be potentially in my top 5 or 10 movies from '76. I don't have to look. I don't know. I don't have a depth knowledge of releases of movies the way I do for albums at this point. I haven't done a lot of research. I know some of them, but I mean, there's tons of movies that, especially going back, you go from the '80s, the '70s. I couldn't tell you, let alone when they were released, of the original theatrical release. You know, but it's fun research. It's a fun, you know, time killing, you know. Useless knowledge research. But anyway, that's one thing I wanted to mention. I forgot to include that. But yeah, that's really sad that, you know, she was 68 years old. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to look on YouTube to see if there's any interviews and stuff like that about Logan's Run TV series, or even reviews by other people. You know, where Greg Harrison's the only, I know the guy who played Randy Powell who played Francis, I think is still around too. But I don't know. The show was a while ago. It was over 40 years ago, so, you know, you can see why a lot of them aren't around. But, you know, it's just interesting to know if they ever did bring it back. Maybe they could get some of the cast from the movie or like Greg Harrison or Randy Powell to show up in the TV series. Or if I could read a remake, it would make some sense. The way they had Mark Singer show up on the V TV series and etc. So, anyway, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.